The note slipped under my door simply read, "Window seat available. Tonight, 9 p.m." I'd been caught red-handed watching my neighbor, and now she was inviting me over. My hand shook as I read it again. Was this a trap? A joke? Or something much more dangerous than I could imagine? Welcome to Secret Stories, where real confessions come to life. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to join our community of secret keepers. My name is Ethan Parker, and I'm 26 years old. I work as a freelance graphic designer from my Portland apartment. It's a decent setup. Exposed brick walls, high ceilings, and huge windows perfect for my work. What I didn't expect was that one window would completely change my life. 3 months ago, Charlotte Bennett moved into the apartment directly across from my kitchen window. She was 43, recently divorced, and worked as a marketing consultant. I learned these basics from Mrs. Rodriguez, who knew everyone's business immediately. Charlotte was stunning. Auburn hair that caught sunlight perfectly, warm brown eyes, and natural elegance that made everything look effortless. But it wasn't just her looks. Something about how she moved through her space was hypnotic. The problem was Charlotte never closed her curtains. From my kitchen window, I had a perfect view of her daily routine, and I couldn't stop watching. It started innocently. I'd make coffee and glimpse her doing yoga, or I'd wash dishes and see her pacing during business calls. She was passionate about her work, completely focused. I told myself it was harmless. She was successful and sophisticated, everything I found attractive but felt out of reach. I was struggling freelancer living on instant meals while she clearly had everything figured out. But what started as casual glances became deliberate obsession. I began timing my day around Charlotte's schedule. Morning yoga at 7:15 a.m. sharp. I'd position myself at my sink with coffee, pretending to wake up slowly while watching every movement. At 11:30 a.m., she'd work at her dining table. I'd find excuses to be in my kitchen, organizing already clean spaces just to catch glimpses of her concentration. Lunch was 1 p.m. She ate salads while reading actual books. She'd tuck hair behind her left ear when particularly absorbed in reading. I found this incredibly endearing. Afternoons were her intense work hours. She'd pace during phone calls, and I learned her body language. Relaxed shoulders meant good news. Hands on hips meant difficult clients. Arms crossed meant someone was wasting her time. Evenings were my favorite time. Charlotte would cook elaborate dinners while streaming documentaries. She preferred nature shows and historical pieces, taking notes in a small leather journal. She'd sip red wine from delicate glasses. Most intimate moments came after dinner. She'd settle on her couch in oversized sweaters with herbal tea and books. Sometimes she'd fall asleep there, and I'd watch her peaceful face feeling both protective and deeply guilty. I knew I was crossing every line. I kept mental notes about her preferences. She talked to her mother Tuesdays, her sister Fridays, Thai food when stressed, homemade pasta when happy. My real life began suffering. I'd delay client work to watch Charlotte. I'd schedule video calls around her activities. My friends noticed my distraction. "You're acting weird lately," my friend Jake told me. "It's like you're living on some different schedule." What's going on? I couldn't explain that I'd become obsessed with watching my neighbor, that I knew more about her routine than my own goals. The guilt was overwhelming. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. promising to stop this behavior. I'd vow to rearrange my workspace, respect her privacy like normal people do. But morning would come, and I'd return to that window magnetically. I created justifications. I was studying human behavior for design work. I was appreciating interior aesthetics. Since she left curtains open, maybe she wanted to be seen. But deep down, I knew the truth. I was voyeur, and Charlotte had no idea. Then came the Tuesday morning that changed everything. Around 8 a.m., I was watching Charlotte finish her yoga routine. She wore cream-colored activewear, auburn hair, and messy bun. Morning light created golden aura around her that seemed almost ethereal. She completed her final pose and stood up, reaching for her water bottle. Instead of heading to kitchen as always, she turned toward her windows and looked directly at mine. Our eyes met across the courtyard, and my world stopped. I'd been caught. After 3 months of careful observation, Charlotte was staring directly at me with full knowledge of what I'd been doing. For what felt like eternity but was probably 10 seconds, we just looked at each other. I could see every detail, surprise in her brown eyes, lips parting slightly, workout flush on her cheeks. I was frozen, coffee cup halfway to my mouth. I expected anger. I expected her to storm over and slam windows shut. I expected her to call building management about the creepy neighbor. Instead, she smiled. Not polite neighbor smile or awkward, I caught you smile. Something else entirely. Something knowing and almost amused. She raised her hand and gave me a small wave, like greeting old friend she'd been expecting. Then she grabbed her water bottle and walked calmly away, leaving me in complete shock. I couldn't concentrate on work. Every few minutes, I'd glance toward her apartment, but she was nowhere visible. Had she left for meetings? Was she avoiding her living room? Was she calling police? That evening, I avoided kitchen entirely. I ordered pizza and ate in my bedroom, far from any windows. But around 9 p.m., curiosity overcame me. I crept back for one quick look. Charlotte sat in her usual couch spot wearing burgundy sweater, reading with wine beside her. Everything looked normal, as if morning's eye contact never happened. But then, sensing my presence, Charlotte looked up from her book and turned directly toward my window. When she saw me there, she smiled again. That same, knowing, intimate smile. She raised her wine glass in small toast gesture, took sip, and returned to reading. I stepped back, heart pounding. What was happening here? Was Charlotte playing some game? Was she acknowledging my voyeurism without anger? I barely slept, mind racing with possibilities. Maybe she was planning confrontation. Maybe she was documenting behavior for harassment case. Maybe she was just being kind while figuring out how to handle uncomfortable situation. The next morning, I found the note. Small piece of cream-colored stationery lay on my doormat. The paper was expensive, thick, and textured, the kind marketing professional would use for important correspondence. In elegant handwriting, it simply read, "Window seat available. Tonight, 9 p.m." No signature, no explanation. Just invitation that made my hands shake as I read it repeatedly. I carried that note all day, analyzing every word, every curve of handwriting. I Googled everything. Neighbor caught watching. Older woman, younger man situation. How to tell if someone is interested. Results were useless. By 8:30 p.m., I'd changed clothes 3 times, rehearsed dozens of apologies, and convinced myself this was either best or worst thing that could happen. At 8:55, I stood outside Charlotte's door wondering if I was about to be humiliated. At exactly 9 p.m., I knocked softly. "It's open," came Charlotte's voice, warm and welcoming. I entered her apartment for the first time. It was like entering a different world. Everything I'd observed from my window was more beautiful up close. Professional design but comfortable. Warm lighting, classical music, fresh flowers. Air smelled faintly of vanilla and her perfume. Charlotte sat in the chair I'd watched her in hundreds of times, but now I was inside. She wore a black dress that was sophisticated yet alluring, auburn hair loose around shoulders. She looked stunning up close. "Ethan," she said, gesturing to chair across from her. "I was wondering when you'd finally visit properly." I sat carefully, still not believing this was real. "How do you know my name?" She smiled and I noticed gold flecks in her brown eyes. "Mrs. Rodriguez is very chatty, plus your mail gets delivered to my box sometimes. Ethan Parker, freelance graphic designer, originally from Seattle. You've been investigating me?" "No more than you've been investigating me," she replied with amusement. "Though I had to work harder for information. Your observation methods have been much more comprehensive." I felt face burning with embarrassment. "Charlotte, I need to apologize. What I've been doing is completely inappropriate. I've invaded your privacy and I'm deeply sorry. I never meant to make you uncomfortable." "Who says I'm uncomfortable?" she interrupted gently. The question hung between us. I studied her face, searching for anger or disgust. Instead, I saw curiosity and genuine interest. "You're not angry?" I asked. "Angry?" "Ethan, I'm 43 years old. I've been married to a man who barely noticed I existed, divorced for 2 years and largely ignored by dating world since." When was the last time you think someone found me interesting enough to watch my routine with such dedication? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You can't be serious. You're incredible. Any man would be lucky. To what? Date 43-year-old divorcee with demanding career and trust issues? She laughed, but with sadness underneath. Most men my age chase women half their age, and men your age see women like me as invisible. You think you're invisible? I thought I was, until I realized this attractive young man was watching me like I was most fascinating person in world. She stood and walked to her living room windows, same ones I'd been staring through for months. Come here, she said. I joined her, and she pointed at my kitchen window. From this angle, I could see directly into my apartment. 3 months ago, I felt disconnected from myself as woman. My ex-husband made me feel like supporting character, useful but not interesting or desirable. After divorce, I threw myself into work but felt invisible personally. She turned to face me, vulnerability and expression. Then I noticed this young man fascinated by my routine. I realized you weren't watching me like entertainment. You were watching like I was genuinely interesting. You are interesting, I said quietly. You're most interesting person I've ever seen. She smiled, transforming her face completely. Do you know what that felt like? To realize someone found my ordinary existence compelling enough to observe daily? I felt terrible about it, like I was being creepy and inappropriate. You were violating my privacy, she said matter-of-factly, but you were also making me feel seen in a way I hadn't experienced in years. When I caught you yesterday, my first instinct was anger, but then I saw your expression, mortified and guilty, but also fond. Like you genuinely cared about what you were seeing. We were standing close now, and I could smell her subtle, expensive perfume. Charlotte, I don't understand what's happening here. She looked directly into my eyes. I'm 43, Ethan. I'm done playing games. I've spent 3 months being watched by someone who seemed to genuinely appreciate me, and now I want to know if that appreciation extends beyond voyeurism. What do you mean? I mean, I'm attracted to you. Your attention, your obvious intelligence, and yes, your appearance. I invited you here because I want to explore whether what we've had from distance might work up close. My heart was pounding. But I'm 26. I don't have my life figured out like you do. I'm still building career. And lonely, she interrupted. Success without connection is just elaborate solitude, Ethan. I'd rather be with someone young and genuine who sees me clearly than someone age-appropriate who treats me like furniture. She stepped closer. I'm being direct because life's too short for ambiguity. I want to explore what this could be between us. Not because I want to feel young again, but because you've made me feel desirable and interesting. I looked into her brown eyes and saw honesty, vulnerability, and desire. This sophisticated, beautiful woman was taking genuine risk with me. Are you sure about this? I asked. Instead of words, she reached up and touched my face gently. Question is, are you sure? Because once we cross this line, everything changes. Your comfortable fantasy becomes something real and potentially complicated. I thought about last 3 months, the guilt and obsession, how she'd completely taken over my thoughts. I thought about her smile yesterday morning, wine glass greeting, elegant invitation that brought me here. I'm sure, I said. She smiled and kissed me softly, unlike anything I'd experienced. Not desperate, but confident and deliberate, like everything about her. When we separated, she took my hand. Come on, let me show you view from bedroom window. That night changed everything. Not just physically, being with Charlotte was incredible, but emotionally she was everything I'd observed and more. Confident, generous, passionate, but surprisingly vulnerable when guard was down. We talked until dawn about everything, her marriage and divorce, my struggles with direction, our dreams, and strange circumstances that brought us together. Age is just numbers, Charlotte told me as morning light filtered through curtains. What matters is emotional maturity, mutual respect, genuine connection. You may be 26, but you see me more clearly than ex-husband ever did in 15 years. Over following weeks, we developed new routine. I'd still see her through kitchen window, but now she'd wave and blow kisses instead of pretending not to notice. Our evening visits became regular, and sophisticated woman I'd admired from afar was even more amazing up close. Over following weeks, we developed a new routine. I'd still see her through kitchen window, but now she'd wave and blow kisses instead of pretending not to notice. Our evening visits became regular, and sophisticated woman I'd admired from afar was even more amazing up close. Charlotte challenged me intellectually, encouraged career ambitions, made me feel valuable. She introduced me to new restaurants, galleries, ways of thinking about creativity. In return, I made her laugh, helped her rediscover spontaneity, showed her she was captivating. Age difference became irrelevant. What mattered was how we understood each other, brought out best in each other, how right it felt together. 6 months later, I moved into Charlotte's apartment. Year after that, she helped me start my own design agency. We learned to ignore occasional stares and whispered comments. "Do you ever regret catching me watching you?" I asked recently as we sat by windows where our courtship began. She laughed and curled up next to me. "Never. Best invasion of privacy I ever experienced." We joke about note that started our real relationship. Window seat available became our private code for intimate time together. Sometimes, when I'm working late, I look up to find Charlotte watching me with same fond attention I once paid to her routine. People might say our relationship started inappropriately, that watching someone without permission crosses boundaries. They're probably right. But sometimes inappropriate beginnings lead to something unexpectedly perfect. Sometimes being truly seen, even from distance, is exactly what two people need to find each other. If you have similar secrets or unexpected connections, share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to The Human Memories for more intimate confessions and hidden moments. Thanks for watching.